And we're live. Hello everyone, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel, and welcome to the I Love Jeet Kune broadcast number 67. This is the one about Jeet Kune. It's truths, it's myths, opinions / beliefs, spin, and even half-truths, right? So, as you guys are logging in, be sure to be kind enough to say where you're logging in from and hit the like button. And if I say anything particularly insightful, feel free to continue hitting the like button. That way, you know, algorithmic relevance is what Facebook will assign to us. So here's the deal. Origin story, you might remember in last week's broadcast, which was JKD and the search for truth. I had told you that looking around, that I'd come across all those things that we just mentioned in the title, right? Truth itself, myth, belief / opinion, spin, half-truth, and what have you. So truth, as we know, is an indisputable fact, right? Earth moves around the sun, moon revolves around the earth, kind of thing, right? In JKD, there are certain facts that are indisputable. Myth is something that has been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt to be false, right? So like sun moves around the earth, and then there are some things in JKD that may have been believed but ultimately have been proven to be false, right? Opinion or belief is based on data of any kind, right? So you know, the data seems to point to Earth being the only inhabited planet in our solar system. And when that relates to Jeet Kune, there's opinions and beliefs on, there's a certain approach to Jeet Kune. We'll delve into that in a little bit. Spin is a twisting of the truth, right? So Christopher Columbus told people in like Jamaica that his God had the power to darken the moon, right? Because he had information about lunar eclipses that the Jamaican natives didn't have, right? A spin on Jeet Kune is that Bruce Lee shared his real deep Jeet Kune information with like only certain people. A half-truth is part lie and part truth, right? So it'd be kind of like somebody saying, well, I was there in the early days of JKD, so I know stuff that other people don't know, right? So let's get into it. So early Jeet Kune. So remember, we're dealing with truth, myth, opinion / belief, spin, and half-truth. So Bruce Lee is the founder of Jeet Kune, a martial art and a martial art philosophy. That is a fact. That is truth. There's no that is proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. But right after that, right, are there any other truths in terms of, for example, did Bruce Lee ever see Jeet Kune as a separate style, and then as his thinking evolved, he viewed it beyond style, for example, right? So a lot of stuff that I'm going to give you is really just in the interrogatory. So for that, we could turn to his writings. So if you went to something like this, okay, Jeet Kune commentaries on the martial way, right? You could read about Bruce Lee at one point in time referring to his art as a style and how it would be based on Wing Chun, boxing, and fencing. But then we would also read about him ultimately saying that he had lost faith in any system or style, including the Wing Chun system, the Chinese martial arts, even though he still considered Wing Chun to be a great art and he still considered his method to be Chinese. Right, so that's one of the reasons why this Jeet Kune thing continues to be such a I don't even want to use the word mess, but you guys know what it is that I'm talking about, right? There is a myth, or there used to be a myth, right, that Bruce Lee invented Jeet Kune after being beat up by a rival kung fu instructor, right? Those of us who've been around for a while, we know the true story behind that. Right? There's an opinion and a belief about Jeet Kune that contact sparring, for example, is the proving ground. That is the crucible of the Jeet Kune approach, and that well-roundedness or functionality in all the ranges of combat that is a key desirable also in JKD. A spin or half-truth about Jeet Kune Do would be, for example, that Bruce Lee is the father of MMA, right? So depending on how you want to look at it, because MMA guys emphasize tremendous athleticism in their martial arts, and Bruce Lee was certainly a pioneer in the, let's say, the area of martial arts fitness, right? So there is a connection, and MMA fighters are primed for combat readiness, and Bruce Lee always believed in being primed for combat readiness, right? MMA fighters fight in all the ranges. In fact, because of them, there are some in the JKD who have created, let's say, a fifth range of combat, right, called the clinch, okay? So that leads us then to truth, myth, opinion, belief, spin, half-truth on Jeet Kune Do instructors. So here's the truth. Only Dan Inosanto was awarded by Bruce Lee instructor rank in Jeet Kune Do. Nobody else. So the myth that sprung up around that is that therefore only Dan Inosanto is qualified to teach Jeet Kune Do. Well, no, because in turn he's made his own instructors, right? People like Richard Bustillo, Jerry Poteet, Ted Wong, Larry Hartzell, Steve Golden, Tim Tackett, Chris Kent, Cass Magda, Paul Vunak, and on, right? And then those guys made their own instructors. So there's when it comes to instructors in Jeet Kune Do, there's an opinion or belief that Inosanto, for example, moved away from Jeet Kune Do because he introduced a lot of new arts into the mix and created a separate entity called Jeet Kune Do Concepts, right? I want you to remember that when it comes to opinion and belief, this is a thing that invites debate, okay? So, but we're not doing the debate here right now. That'll come at a later time, right? Right now, I'm just giving examples of different things. A spin or a half-truth concerning instructorship in Jeet Kune Do is that since you trained in the early days, but you weren't interested in any of that certificate stuff, but since you were there, you're qualified to pass it on, right? That you were given permission, you know, in some form or fashion to share your knowledge, and now you're the head of your own Jeet Kune Do organization, okay? Truth, myth, opinion, belief, spin, half-truth on how to train Jeet Kune Do, right? Oh, I was reminded of this. I was looking at an old article through Chris Kent from John Soet, I think was his name, right? And I was wondering if you guys ever heard that Bruce Lee formulated his own system because he knew he could never become Grand Master of Wing Chun, right? Believe it or not, if you've been around long enough, there was a time where that was an idea floating around out there, along with the one that Chuck Norris is the person who taught Bruce Lee how to kick, right? So I thought I'd throw those in there just for a little bit of fun. All right, so for truth on how to train JKD, we can look into the John Little Library, for example, to find out how and what Bruce Lee himself trained, right? And so something, again, like, well, actually, there is a thing. This is more along the lines of what to train. There are people who will tell you that you just need to have this along with this, and that's it. You just follow those two, and everything that you need to know about how to train Jeet Kune Do, you've got at your fingertips through the Tao and Bruce Lee's fighting method, right? A myth concerning how Jeet Kune Do can be trained or was trained is that Bruce Lee trained all his people. You know, he trained all his people differently, right? Everybody had a different plan for their body type and for their strengths and what have you. An opinion or belief about how Jeet Kune Do should be trained is that training in Wing Chun is important to grasp the essence of JKD, that the practice of the 5 gates form is important, again, in order to grasp an aspect of Jeet Kune Do. And then another opinion and belief on Jeet Kune Do training is that if Bruce didn't do it, then it doesn't have to be done. Okay? A spin or a half-truth could be something like along the lines of, well, if Bruce Lee had lived, then you can be sure that he would have gone into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or something, right? Truth, myth, opinion, belief, spin, and half-truth on Jeet Kune Do's widespread continued evolution. Right? So, truth is, compared to the old days, there's probably more JKD instructors out there today than ever before. But I've never done any statistical quantification or whatever, so I'm not sure if JKD is yet widespread, right? One of the myths surrounding widespread continued evolution, right? Well, yeah, kind of, is that no one can actually teach Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do because they are not Bruce Lee. And I always wondered about that one, because have you ever heard them say that about Shotokan? Nobody can teach Shotokan because they're not Funakoshi Gishin, right? You never hear that, but somehow nobody can teach Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do because they're not Bruce Lee themselves. An opinion or belief about the spread of Jeet Kune Do is that because of what they believe and what the opinions they have, some people limit their teaching to the Kyun Gurk. I got that phrase from my dialogue with Bay Logan, right? So that's the foot and fist method of Jeet Kune Do. Some people separate the Jeet Kune Do training from the other things that they do. So they might have a Jeet Kune Do class, and then they have a Kali class, and then they have a Jiu-Jitsu class or an MMA class or what have you. Right? Still others have blended everything into a single unit. So their JKD class is a single unit using particular guiding principles, right, to structure their approach. And then there are some who perhaps don't even use the term Jeet Kune Do anymore because their approach is so blended that they're just going through stuff and JKD doesn't even come up, right? A spin or a half-truth on how Jeet Kune Do, on Jeet Kune Do's continued evolution is that Jeet Kune Do means anything goes because of having no limitation and using no way as way, right? And the people who are, the ones who I say are the perpetrators of the spin and the half-truth, these are usually the people who are trying to proverbially make a buck off some kind of association with Jeet Kune Do, right? Some of them, I mean, and I see a lot of it when I go online. I see a lot of it internationally, right? And there are people, you know, with the JKD logo and some type of Jeet Kune Do federation or whatever, and it's like, well, you can't even be sure if these people have any kind of a legitimate background or what have you, right? So I'm going to leave you with this is one of my favorite discussion topics, and you can decide for yourself whether or not this falls into truth, myth, opinion / belief, spin, or half-truth. And it has to do with, again, with the Tao, right? Which, as it says right there, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee. But we know that Gilbert Johnson, the editor who was hired by Mito Uehara, all right, he's the one who, with the help of people like Dan Inosanto and Ted Wong, and with the access and permission granted by Linda Lee, that Gilbert Johnson is the one who compiled some of Bruce Lee's notes for O'Hara Publications, right? So is the Tao of Jeet Kune Do actually authored by Bruce Lee, or is Gilbert Johnson the author? I bring that one up because every time that I see people, Bruce Lee detractors, right, complaining about how there's nothing original in the Tao of Jeet Kune Do and that he just copied sayings and stuff from, wholesale from this source and that source and what have you, without them realizing that that they don't know the part about Gilbert Johnson being given access to Bruce Lee's notes, so that these notes were not necessarily something that were meant for publication, right? Okay, so that's it. Jeet Kune Do and its truths and myths and opinions, belief and spin and all that. You guys know the deal. Feel free to share, like, comment, ask me questions. After I post everything, I'll review. Sign up for notifications for when we go live here on Facebook, and when we post the new videos up on the YouTube channels, both for the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast and for the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. And at ilovejeetkunዶ.com, there's still a subscription available for the Quick Skills Series Volume 1. On this Friday, March 8th, is it? Yeah, Friday, March 8th, I'll be doing the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode with Jason Corral of Cornerstone Jeet Kune Do. So that should be live on my Dwight D. Woods page on Facebook, not here at I Love Jeet Kune Do, at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Jason Corral of Cornerstone Jeet Kune Do. And I'll see you back here next week, same time, for another issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. Today is a black and white or gray day. There's the shirt. All right. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.